Hi there, it's Emily, and I was definitely a skeptic when it came to the state of true physical media collecting on the Switch 2. Last year, we're seeing game key cards being offered more often than not, and as someone who is more of a casual Nintendo fan, perhaps despite what you see back there behind me, I don't really play a lot of first-party Nintendo titles that were given the true physical media treatment. I mostly play third-party RPGs and narrative games, with the exception of a few first-party titles like your Xenoblades, Fire Emblems, and Zelda. So I was definitely hesitant and not super enthused by the direction that Nintendo was going, especially as what I think many of us were hoping was the last bastion of physical media collecting. But fast forward to last month when I finally bit the bullet and bought my Switch 2, I think things are starting to look a bit more optimistic for us physical media collectors. Last year I actually did buy my first Switch 2 game, and that was with Rune Factory Gardens of Azuma, and this is a Switch 2 edition. These Nintendo Switch 2 editions are pretty cool because they play both on your base Switch, and so in my case I played this on my Switch OLED, and you could also, of course, play it on your Switch 2, and it has the upgrade path on the cart itself. And I really liked these Nintendo Switch 2 editions, though unfortunately we didn't see a lot of these offered by many third-party publishers. There were plenty of first-party games like Pokemon Legends ZA here, but it was just few and far between in the sea of game key cards. And we also didn't see a lot of just regular base Switch 2 physicals. There were a few exceptions, like Cyberpunk 2077, of course the big one that's noted, as well as Daemon X Machina and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, though technically that's a first-party IP, but it was published by Koei Tecmo and developed by them too, I believe. It was very interesting to see kind of a lot of this mixed messaging of what is a true physical, what is not a true physical, and made me, and I think many others, just very disappointed at the direction things were going. But recently, I did add Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to my collection, thanks to Bethesda, who sent me this review copy, and I streamed this on my channel, and was just amazed by how well this runs on the Switch 2. And it's also just remarkable that this is the only way you could get a true physical copy of this game. The PS5 version, unfortunately, is a game key disc, and Xbox never also got a true physical release of it, despite being published by Bethesda. But I think this is definitely a marker of things are looking up. If Bethesda is going to publish a true physical game for it on the Switch 2, I think we'll see more developers following suit in the third parties. We've been seeing it for some larger games like Indiana Jones here, but also some smaller games, which kind of leads you to think that a lot of the smaller cart sizes are finally being offered on the Switch 2 for third-party developers so that they can minimize costs and not have to choose between a game key card or a true physical and really eat into their margins, especially if it's just going to be a retail $30 game. What's even more exciting is that there's a ton of pre-orders out now for true physical Switch 2 releases. Trails in the Sky second chapter is a huge highlight that I'm really glad is receiving a true physical release at launch. And there's some other ones that I've been very interested in, such as Incompini. I was able to stream the digital game of that and would love to have that as a true physical on my shelf for the Switch 2. And another one I have my eyes on is the new Steins Gate reboot that is also receiving a true Switch 2 version, though right now it's Japan only, which I'm not sure if they're going to have a localized version of that, but the Japanese version does have English on the cart. So I'll probably be scooping that up, or maybe even the collector's edition for that. But I really think that the tides have shifted for the Switch 2, and I'm a lot more optimistic that my collection is going to continue to grow from these three games you see here. So for today, I wanted to go through my shelves back there and make some room, because if I'm going to have more than just 3 games for the Switch 2 on my shelf, I'm going to have to make some choices. Mostly because on my channel, I like to really emphasize curated collecting, and I really don't want a massive collection on my shelves. So I think it's time to do a purge, because there are some games that I think I just no longer need to have physically, or there's maybe some issues with them that when I initially bought them, I didn't really realize had issues. I'm gonna have you guys come along with me quickly as I scan through my shelves and kind of share what I'm tearing down. Because yeah, there'll definitely be games I'll be taking off the shelf to make some room for these Switch 2 games. So I'll be mostly purging from my Switch collection because it is my largest collection on my shelves here. And I unfortunately have double dipped quite a bit on my Switch collection and other systems. So I really don't need a lot of these games on the Switch. So a lot of the games I will be mostly lifting from here are going to be those titles. And here's just a little overview of what it looks like before. I like to group my collection, not alphabetically like a lot of people, but by genre and publisher. It's not like the most orderly, but it works for me. I know how to grab these games really quickly. And I would like to also put my Switch 2 collection in this corner here. Why there? I'm not sure, but that's kind of just felt right. Right now, Guardians of Azuma as well as Pokemon Legends EA fits on that bottom shelf, but as you can see, we need some room for Indiana Jones here, and all the other games I will most likely be adding to my collection. So I'm just going to be going one by one and highlighting which ones need to be removed. First up are these kind of pain me to probably take out is Ys 9 and Ys 8. Now, the thing with this is that I have Ys 8 on the PS5 and it is a better version. And Ys 9 is actually broken on the Switch and I've been waiting to replace that with the PS5 version. So yeah, I think it's time for them to leave my Switch collection. Next is one from Limited Run, and that is Persona 4 Golden. I already own this on the Vita, so I don't really need the second copy, despite how nice it looks next to my Switch copy of Persona 3 Portable. And I also, last week, took out Final Fantasy X-10-2 from my collection. In my last video, if you have not seen that, so I'm adding that to the pile as well. And Persona 5 Royal, another one I double dipped on. I own this on the PS4, and I really don't need a second copy, especially because I've never played it, though I do plan on streaming it this summer if you're interested in my first ever Persona experience. And this is the Japanese version of Trails in Sky First Chapter. I got this with the collector's edition I bought and imported from Japan, so I'm going to just tuck that away there. I don't really need it on the shelf here at all because I do have a physical on the PS5. And all these are just visual novels that I haven't read yet. I kind of made the mistake of buying up a bunch of visual novels, afraid that they were going to go out of print or something like that. And really, I think the better approach I could have done was read them digitally. And then if I really liked them, get a physical copy, which is probably what I'll be doing here on out. But as you can see, there's a lot of different genres from romance to horror and suspense, and really wanted to experience more visual novels was kind of the idea behind a lot of those purchases. But looking back, I think I definitely could have shown a little bit more restraint and curated that collection a bit more. But let me know if you've read any of these and if they are worth keeping. So I'd love to hear that from you guys. And then lastly here is Yomori, and this is still sealed, but this was a game that at one point was really rare, and I scooped it up thinking, oh, maybe I'll like it, and it is still sealed. And now we have Zelda, and I have 2 copies, so I really don't need my base Breath of the Wild. I will keep the Japanese one that includes the DLC, but I'm now kind of also in the predicament, what do I do with Tears of the Kingdom and that Breath of the Wild? Do I upgrade to the Switch 2 version, or I don't know. For now, they'll remain on the shelf. And another game I love The Witcher 3, but I don't think I need it on the Switch. It was the first place I played it, but I've been eyeing kind of the PS5 version. Ty, the Tasmanian Tiger here, it's not a true physical, which I didn't know until after I bought it. And they've since released a better version of this that is actually on the cart. So I'll probably go and get that at some point. Brigadine is one I'm interested in. I'm also interested in the new one that's releasing this fall. But yeah, I don't know if I like that version. And Blue Reflection Second Light, I've been eyeing the Quartet PS5 physical that contains all 4 games from that series. So I think I might get rid of my Switch version and buy that one instead. For my indies down there, the little Gator game is a charming game, but they actually released a better physical, so I think that's why I'm removing it. Here is an overview of all the RPGs that I will be removing for one reason or another from my Switch collection. And all these also great games I played and loved, but
I think I don't necessarily need them on the Switch, or I might be able to get better versions of them elsewhere. And also all these visual novels, please let me know if there are ones I should prioritize over others when it comes to reviewing them, so I decide what to do with them. But here is my big stack of games that I decided to purge from the shelf to make space for new Switch 2 games.
And I want to take this time right now to thank all my channel members for helping support my content as well as my live streams. And a huge shout out to all my Orbit Architect level members: Trin, Night Noctum, George, Just Another Joe, I'm Aki, Dan, Scott Healy, Osman, Stephen, Fighter, Joe, Champagne Sherpa, and Adrian. Thank you so much for all your support. So I hope you guys enjoyed my renewed optimism for Switch 2 collecting, as well as me purging a little bit of my shelves back there to make room for those future Switch 2 editions to grace my shelves. I'd like to hear what you guys think about the state of Switch 2 collecting. Are you a lot more optimistic for the future, I guess, compared to how it was last year? And are you also making room for future Switch 2 releases? If so, which ones are they? But that's all for me, and I'll see you guys later. So bye for now.